Now we're live.
We're alive. Now we're alive.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lost Together podcast. I'm Joe. This is one man's attempt to convince his wife that Lost is one of the greatest television shows ever written, acted in, produced, shot in Hawaii, talked about in a Tennessee living room on a YouTube podcast ever.
Okay.
So,
Not too terribly long this time.
No, I think instead of going for long, because we do have, I think, slightly less than 100 episodes left now. If I do that, eventually the entire hour will be consumed with that first thing, so it's probably not a great idea to keep lengthening it. So I'll try to just vary it up a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. So today we are talking about episode...
Orientation.
Yeah, more like Borientation.
Disagree.
Right?
No,
I'm just kidding.
No,
that's
not boring.
That's a thing from...
The Office?
I think it's from The Office, yeah.
Sounds like a very Office joke.
Anytime I hear that word at work or in a work context, I'll lean back in my chair and say it pretty loud, just for my...
Borientation?
More like Borientation.
No, you don't.
Am I right? Yes, I do.
You don't. Well, that's terrible, and you should not do that.
Well, I'm not saying it to the person doing the orientation. I'm saying it to other people who are discussing having to go to an orientation, so there's that. So today's episode is Orientation. It's the third episode of the second season of Lost, 28th episode overall, and it originally aired on October 5th, 2005. So I was right in the middle of my nightmarish freshman year of college. So I went to college at a school which I will not name, but it was a very small private school, and it was an absolute nightmare. And I eventually transferred to the University of Tennessee, which was much better.
Vols.
Go Vols. Go Big Orange. All right. So orientation. Before we get into it and a recap, general thoughts. What'd you think?
Loved it. Loved it. There were a couple of moments where I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
The episodes that can make me like cover my own mouth, those are my favorite. I love those episodes.
I remember really feeling like, because this season obviously opens with getting down into the hatch, and for the first two episodes you're just like, what is going on? Like,
yeah.
And then you get to this episode, and it really is the first time that I remembered feeling like Lost is starting to explain stuff to me.
Yes.
So, like...
I am so grateful for
Yeah.
that. I am grateful for some friggin' context.
Yeah, a really big-time episode in that vein.
Yes.
I have a lot of fun features planned for this particular episode because it's a special episode. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the recap.
My favorite part. So, it opened with some Locke backstory, and it was like it was almost like an AA meeting, but like maybe grief counseling. It wasn't AA, obviously.
Yeah.
It was like a grief counseling meeting.
I thought of it as that scene actually reminded me. Now, obviously, this movie wasn't out when I originally watched Lost, but do you remember Renfield?
The vampire movie?
Yeah, because Renfield goes...
With Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
Yes.
He goes to the
grief
group.
Counseling.
No, it's a group for people who are victims of narcissistic abuse.
Oh.
So, like, it is like a abuse counseling.
Okay.
So, like, you've been a victim,
Yes.
And so in Renfield, he goes in order to find victims for Dracula, but then learns that, actually, I need to be here because my boss is a narcissist and he's ruining my life. So
Literally Dracula. Yeah, so so Locke is there, and some other lady is talking about, her problems, and then Locke kind of cuts in with one of my catchphrases of my life is grief is not a contest. Suffering is not a contest.
Suffering, not a contest.
Suffering is not a contest. I say it all the time. I hate when, like, you're sharing a thing with somebody and they, like, one-up you with, like, well, you think that's bad. Let me... Bleh. Suffering is not a contest. It sucks for everybody. Don't do that. But That's what he does. He cuts in and goes like, well, my dad didn't even want me, and he left me, and then he stole my kidney, and I'm mad about it. Like,
Yeah.
So then this beautiful, beautiful lady,
Katie Seagal.
yeah, beautiful lady, comes out of the woodwork or whatever, and she's like, hey, John, my name's Helen. And I was like, the sex worker Helen?
Yeah.
I forgot that he had told the sex worker to say that her name was Helen.
Or the sex worker's name organically was Helen, and he picked her for that reason. But that wasn't Helen that he was talking to.
Right. Well, so I was like, oh my God, it's Helen. And she is so mature, so healthy, beautiful, lovely lady who is like so willing to meet John Locke in his grief, in his pain, and this sumbitch is just not ready for that.
Any particular reason that you identify so strongly with Helen?
No.
How very nice that there are women to rescue broken men from their grief and agony. So, so I thought you may empathize. Obviously, I have a great relationship with my father. He did not steal my kidney, right?
No.
But like many people, I had grief in my own life. And so to find somebody that was open to listening to that and meeting it authentically, I completely understand that situation. So
there's like the insinuation of some coitus.
Yep. Well, yeah.
And then she kind of ruses in bed, and he's putting his shoes on, and she's like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I can't sleep in a bed that's not mine, I gotta go. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oogie. Like, that's obviously the first time.
Yeah.
She's like, whatever. So she ends up finding out he's not going home. He's going to sit outside his daddy's house waiting for that kidney to come back, I guess.
Well, so that was going to be a question that I was going to ask you. Why is he there? What's he waiting for?
For his dad to come out and say that he's sorry, probably. But that's not happening, folks. It's not happening because people who are abusers do not apologize for their abuse 9 times out of 10. And this dude is not going to say he's sorry.
No.
He is not. So John is, bless his heart, I just feel so bad for him. He didn't do anything wrong. The only thing he did was try to be loved. And what did he get? The loss of an organ. And so he's just wanting some, like, what the hell explanation for that. So anyway, Helen catches up with him outside of his dad's house. After, they go to dinner for their 6-month anniversary. So cute. And she gives him a gift. And he gets aggravated and goes like, I didn't get you anything. As if that's the reason to give a gift. It's not always like a reciprocal. Sometimes you just give a gift. And the gift was a key to her house. Mm-hmm. But it was like, dangling a carrot. She was like, you cannot have this unless you promise to stop going to your daddy's house.
Yeah, specifically like you got to stay the night.
Yeah, and he said, okay. And then that very night, he went to his daddy's house, and she caught up with him. And she was like, it's me or your dad. Like, pick one. So then he makes this big show about,
it's not that simple.
You. Yeah. Well, but he takes the key and he's like, okay. And he like pats his pocket. Well, he does not do that. And then his dad ends up coming to the car and he's like, what do you want, John? And John was like, and then his dad was like, you think you're the first guy to ever be conned? What a terrible, awful thing to hear from a person who has wronged you. My God, I feel so bad for him.
And also, something that abusers know is that he can talk to John like that and he's not going to do anything about it.
John ain't doing shit.
Even though if he wanted to, John would wreck him. So, I mean,
he's young, he's virile, like he's piss and vinegar.
He's younger than that guy. But
yeah.
But he's stout. I mean, we see him on the island. Like he could take him for sure.
Mm-hmm. This is pre-wheelchair.
Like there's people on the island John Locke couldn't take, but this dude is like fresh off kidney surgery
Yeah.
and he was.
I mean, he's basically a handful of dust. You just go real hard and he'll blow away.
He's a handful of shit, is what he is.
He
this
sucks.
guy. So
he sucks.
Still better than Susan. Anyway,
Susan sucks. They're equally evil, but in different ways. So anyway, he's like, you got to stop coming here. Whatever. John doesn't say anything at all, and then his dad leaves. So that's kind of like...
And then he cries in the car.
Yeah, and he died. So that's the end of that. So back on the island, we're left at the gunpoint standoff between Locke and Desmond, Jack, and then I think Kate is still up in the vents, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she makes her way down, tries to get the gun. Somehow or another, the computer gets shot.
She gets the gun.
And she shoots.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Like, there's a scuffle.
Yeah, it's like...
Right, yeah.
And then the computer's shot. Desmond completely freaks out, and he's like, we're all dead, brother. And then he runs. He's like, you guys already have seen the video. Like, it's the... What is it? The swan?
No. They haven't seen the video at the point when all that's happening. He tells them to go watch the video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it basically, the video says, it's a scientific experiment about
the electromagnetic properties of the island.
And that's why Jack's, his necklace, the key on his necklace was, pointing at the wall, because it's a magnet. Because it's science, that's why I got a 42, because I said there's some kind of, military science thing going on here on this island. But the computer, it's 4, 15, 16...
4, 8.
4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Getting there.
And it adds up to 108. And Desmond has 108 minutes. Every 108 minutes, he's supposed to put the numbers in. And he had a teammate, and they were doing, shifts. And he said his teammate left.
Died.
He died. So Desmond was doing it by himself, which means,
he's dead, brother.
I'll see. 108 minutes is...
It's an hour and a half plus 18 minutes.
Okay.
So it's almost 2 hours.
Okay. So, he's not been sleeping.
No. Not a full 8 hours, no.
No, it's like having a newborn forever.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That will make anybody go insane. So anyway, the computer gets shot. He's like, we're dead. I'm leaving. He runs. Jack and Locke get into this whole huge yelling, screaming argument as time is ticking down. Oh, Saeed comes to try to fix the computer. While all that is happening, Jack and Locke are going head to head. Locke is like, you have got to take a leap of faith, which is what Helen told him when she gave him the key to her house. He says, you've got to take a leap of faith. You don't know that this is not real. And Jack is saying, you don't know that it is real because there's no evidence. It's just some crazy man that's not been sleeping who's telling us that, we got to put these numbers in. And he's like, I'm going to show you that it's not real by letting the timer run out, and then nothing's going to happen. And Locke's like, okay, well, I'm going to show you that it is real because I'm so scared that it's going to happen at the end of the 108 minutes.
Right.
And then it turns out, it's 5 seconds left. And they end up putting the numbers in, and then Locke says, I'll take the first shift.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in it. They are in it. They are now the keepers of the numbers.
But there's a lot more of them, so it's not going to make anybody crazy.
That's true. Well, yeah, because in this thing right now is Kate, Locke, Jack, Saeed.
Yes. And then across the island.
Yes. Sawyer and Michael wash up on shore, and they find Jen, and Jen's like, the others, and these Mad Max people come walking across the beach. They catch them. They throw them in a hole. And then this cute little Hispanic girl gets thrown in the hole also. Mm-hmm. And they're like...
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we're plane survivors. She apparently was in the tail of the plane. And she's like, oh, yeah, me too, whatever. And then Sawyer says, all right, well, when that guy comes back, I'm going to pop him.
Yeah.
She, with zero effort, disarms him, takes the gun. Dude comes back, pulls her out with a rope. So she's working with the others. Are the others the other survivors of the plane? Was Ethan another survivor from the plane?
It's a good question.
It is a good question, and I don't know the answer.
So that is it for the recap.
Yeah.
So I don't even know which way to start. I've got a couple of things written down. So I guess first, if you remember the pilot episode and all the chaos and they've crashed and they're trying to survive and all that, imagine if somehow you saw this episode before you saw the pilot. Like, just by some random chance, you're watching Netflix and season 2, episode 3 of Lost pops on and you watch it. Do you think it would change how you viewed season 1 at all?
I mean, no.
Because I remember watching through season 1 and thinking, like, I mean, first of all, how are they going to sustain this? Because, like, they're going to end up, there's only so much you can do with a bunch of people stranded on an island. Eventually, they're going to kill each other, or somebody's going to get pregnant or something. Like, it's
Real Lord of the Flies stuff going on.
I mean, so then in this episode, they're in a bunker with a bunch of food on.
Oh, yeah. Real food. Good food. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're in this, like...
he's got, like, records.
Yep. Protected from the elements.
A bed.
There's a bed.
Couch.
Yep.
Like, yeah, he's living at the freaking Carlton Ritz, or Ritz-Carlton.
And versus, staying on the beach.
Yeah, sandy little dugout.
I mean, to me, when I saw this episode, and really the first 2 episodes of this season, it just opened up a whole new...
Well, and
you're getting further away from the Sistine Chapel ceiling as you start to see this unfold a little bit. So...
Well, and, like, of course, the main, a couple of the big players are the only ones that know about what's in the hatch. Because Hurley is still way too scared to go in there. Charlie's not been in there.
Hurley walks in at the end of this episode.
Oh, does he?
Remember, he walks into the room where all the food's at.
Oh, my God, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
Which is important.
Felt like a fat joke.
Well, the next episode is a Hurley episode.
Yay.
Then don't have to wait nearly as long this season for a Hurley episode.
Good.
So that's great.
Good.
So there's that. So do you remember the name of the, like, who is responsible for this?
Dharma.
The Dharma Initiative.
Yeah.
Okay. So to the best of your understanding, what is the Dharma Initiative?
It's like a, it's a government thing. It's like the Dharma Initiative is the name of a group of scientists or whomever
from the University of Michigan.
MIT?
No, that's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
It's an M. It's fine.
They're from the University of Michigan.
Okay.
And they were a small group of dedicated scientists, according to the orientation film, who wanted to come to this island to study.
Yes.
So
because it's a electromagnetic center, this island.
So thinking about that,
yeah.
Now you know that they're at the island, they're studying.
Yeah.
Does the existence of the Dharma Initiative, with what limited you know about it, does it explain anything else from season 1?
I mean, it explains why there are other people on the freaking island.
So I'm going to try to point out some stuff that I realized when I watched this episode without spoiling anything. Because there was something that popped in my head immediately when I heard, oh, it's the Dharma Initiative and they're studying stuff.
The polar bear.
Well, see, that's good, right? But that's not the thing that popped in my head.
Okay.
And I think you're just forgetting about something
Probably.
that happened.
Yes.
So how did Saeed find Danielle?
The cord.
And where did the cord run?
Into the ocean.
Into the ocean.
From the woods.
Why would a cord run into the ocean?
Hell if I know.
Okay. So
the aliens are in the ocean.
That's something to think about. So that's immediately what I thought about. I'm like, that's what that cord's from.
Well, I mean, isn't water like the number one electrical conduit?
Well, no. I mean, it's the number one conductor of electricity, but not the number one conduit for electricity.
Conductor.
No.
Whatever.
No.
It's really important for electricity. It moves electricity.
Yeah, so it's because of actually an excursion that I went on in Hawaii when I was there with Dad and Billy, my stepmom and my dad.
King in the castle.
No, because when we were in Hawaii, we were in a submersible, which was connected to the station by a cord, a rather large cord.
An air. So is Dharma in the ocean?
Anyway, just a thing to think about, and I'm only telling you that because I thought of it when it happened. So this is not based on something. Did one of them
do something with the cord and get shocked?
No.
In the last season?
Mm-mm. No, they went to the cord, they found it, and followed it up to the woods.
Okay.
So, anyway, so that's something to think about. The polar bears.
The polar bears, the other people.
So there's polar bears. And if we think the Dharma Initiative is responsible for the polar bears, why would they have polar bears?
That is a great question.
On the island.
I mean, they're scientists. Their whole thing is like, let's figure out the answers to questions that nobody knows the answer to and nobody would know to ask. Like, can a polar bear survive?
You're getting so, man.
Can a polar bear survive on a tropical island? Let's find out.
Would scientists be allowed to do that?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Why?
It's unethical.
Scientists do not always care about ethics.
Okay, false. So there is a strict code of ethics around how you can conduct scientific experiments. And
if they're doing it like by the book, sure.
Exactly. So the Dharma Initiative, which is in this super remote island.
Yeah,
what kinds of experiments are they conducting?
Yeah, it's feeling to me like they're not by the book people. They are the scientists that are like gonna find out the answers regardless of the harm that it causes to the island, to the people on the island, and obviously the animals.
So there was this think tank that they were. I learned about this in a psychology class, Terry's, where they sat down and they were like, what experiments, if we didn't have to worry about ethics, could we do that would definitively prove things? And they came up with stuff like taking kids from their parents and raising them in different kinds of environments over time to see how the environment affected the kid or whatever. Obviously, you can't do that.
Right.
The Stanford Prison Experiment replicated. They'd like to do that. You can't do that anymore. The Milgram Experiment. Can't do that anymore. Right? But they would like to do that because they would like to see if their results got replicated. But now there are all manner of ethical rules around those experiments.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, brings me to my next thing. So the computer entering the code every 108 minutes. What is the experiment?
It struck me very, very much like, I don't remember if it was the Stanford or the Milgram, that was basically they just want people, they want to find out if people will do what they're told just because they're told to do it.
That's the Milgram Experiment.
Okay. The Stanford was the prison one where they had the people were assigned to be guards and people were assigned to be prisoners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Milgram Experiment, literally what you're describing, except that they had
the electroshock one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they had a guy in a white lab coat telling you to shock people when they got answers wrong.
Mm-hmm. And it got like progressively harder.
And one guy was talking about his heart hurting, but like they were all actors. So they weren't getting shocked at all.
Right.
But it was considered extremely unethical after the...
Nobody got hurt.
Well, nobody got physically hurt. So a couple of people that participated in the Milgram Experiment were in therapy for a long time after the Milgram Experiment.
Yeah.
And the main finding from the Milgram Experiment is that people
will listen to authority.
Well, not only will people listen to authority, but essentially how they phrased it was, if you can mentally disconnect yourself from the responsibility of taking an action.
Because
somebody told you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But
an authority figure told you to do it.
You're still doing it. Mm-hmm. An astoundingly low percentage of the people in that experiment actually stood up to the person in the lab coat and said they weren't doing it. Mm-hmm. So low.
And I wonder, too, how many people took accountability and said, yeah, they told me to do it, but I did it. Like, it was me. I did it.
Not many.
Well, because you wouldn't. But
no, because you're trying to avoid the accountability
of physically harming. Yeah.
So this experiment with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So
it struck me very much like that because the isolation, the lack of sleep. He had that like fake sunlight. You know, it was all canned preservative food, like no fresh food at all. He didn't get any fresh food.
And so
it's like a control thing, and it's fear based. And
so
there's no better way to control people than through fear, and that's what it is.
So what about Jack's key?
I don't know about that. There's obviously something going on. Like, you know, it is some kind of electromagnetic, but they say that about real places on Earth, that there are portals, so they say. The powers that be.
Crazy people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where, you know, longitude and latitude lines cross.
They cross everywhere. They cross where we're sitting right now.
Yes. You're not letting me finish.
Okay.
Specific places where they cross in such a way that it, like, affects electricity and... Laugh all you want. All you want.
I intend to. So I will tell you that with zero hesitation, there is no way I would put that code in.
I would.
No way.
Oh, I would.
Because you know that for me, just the quarantine on the door alone, which Jack did not press on, I would have been like, hey, dingus, right? That guy was quarantined in here and told that he would get sick if he went outside. None of us are sick. Right?
Yeah, except they know that Rousseau's whole entire team got sick and died.
No,
they have seen
They
John
don't know
Locke.
that. They don't know that. They don't know that.
Saeed knows.
No, Saeed heard from Rousseau. He doesn't know. There's a difference between being told something by a crazy person in the middle of the woods. If you are walking down...
She has been alone for 16 years.
Okay.
She probably is a little crazy.
If you went down the street in Knoxville, right, and somebody... You saw like a person eating a spider or whatever on the sidewalk, and they said, my doctor told me this would make me better and make the voices stop or whatever. Like, you can't just go, yeah, the doctor definitely said that.
Okay. Well, they saw with their eyeballs John Locke almost get sucked in a hole by a freaking pillar of smoke.
Which has got nothing to do with quarantine.
It's got something to do with how insane this island is.
Babe, if that's the thing, like, why wouldn't they just write on the door, there's a giant smoke monster outside and it'll kill you, right? Instead of quarantine. Right. The quarantine...
Because, they want the people that are in the hatch to stay there and keep the world running with 108...
So a smoke monster outside is not sufficiently scary? They need to tell you to quarantine? I gotta tell you, back in 2020, we knew an awful lot of people that didn't take that word very seriously. So I'm not sure, how worried they would be about it, honestly.
I don't know.
I don't know. I would not be pressing those numbers. I can't believe Jack did.
Yeah, because do you know why he did? Because it doesn't matter how firm you are in your
convictions.
Yes, and you're just like, that's crazy and I'm not going to believe it. When you get to the edge of a thing like death or the greatest unknown, like, you're scared. And so you're going to do the thing that you think is going to keep you safe. And so that's why Jack did the numbers. Because they were literally 30 seconds away from the end of the world. He's going to put the fucking numbers in.
You know me. I'm a hard skeptic about this stuff. And I would have done it just to stand on business. I would have been like, this is not
And I thought it was annoying that Locke was standing on business. Like, dude, just put the numbers in. Like, why do you need Jack to do it? You got 108 minutes after you put the numbers in to win him over. You don't need it right then.
Because he wants Jack to believe like he does.
Well, he doesn't and he won't. And it takes all kinds of cons and that's fine. But...
All right, so I wanted to do another little thing here. And we didn't do this last season because I wanted you to get used to the show, but I want to go through episode titles for this season.
Ooh, okay.
Just going to go through the titles.
Okay.
So the next episode is called Everybody Hates Hugo.
Wonder who that's about.
Okay.
No, they don't. We love Hurley.
Just remember that we get backstory in every episode. So the episode after that is ... and found.
Kate.
Lost and found.
Yeah.
That is that's a Jen and Son episode. Abandoned.
Kate? Or Sawyer?
Shannon.
Oh God, Shannon. I completely forgot she existed.
The Other 48 Days.
How many people were there? 48? 48 people survived?
48 people survived, yeah. The Other 48 Days is the title of that episode. Okay. Collision. What Kate did.
Okay.
Yeah, what Kate did. The 23rd Psalm.
I wish I knew the Bible, because I bet that's relevant.
The 23rd Psalm.
What's Psalm 23?
It's famous. It's yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
I will fear no evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
It maketh me to lie down
in green pastures.
Yeah. Yeah. So we
know the Bible.
We know it. The Hunting Party.
Ooh.
Fire and Water.
That's Jen and Son.
That is Charlie.
Jack.
Charlie. The Long Con.
Is that Sawyer?
That's Sawyer.
Oh no.
One of Them.
Uh-oh.
Now,
Michael?
Spoiler, One of Them is the best episode of this season.
Which one is the one
finale.
that you're being told you have to record me? My reaction.
Oh no, that's
way later.
That's not this season.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, there's a moment, and I'll record you, and we'll get to Messages in a Bottle in a minute.
Okay. All right.
Maternity Leave.
Okay.
The Whole Truth.
And Nothing But, so help me God.
Lockdown. Interesting.
Corny.
Dave. SOS. Two for the Road. There's one where the title is just a question mark. 3 Minutes. And the finale, which is a two-parter, Live Together, Die Alone.
They said that in the first season. Who said that?
Jack.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a great season. Season 2 is a really good season. Not the best season. That is season 3.
Oh, okay, so we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there. Season 3, if I remember right, this is okay because I don't work there anymore. I called out of work one day to binge because I couldn't not watch these episodes.
I so would.
Call it a work?
No, binge if I could. I would forego everybody and everything. I want to know so bad. These episodes will start coming out at a faster clip now that I don't have to spend hours and hours editing them, and we're just doing this. I mean, this is raw, unfiltered, unedited. You're getting, all the silly mistakes and the misspoken words and
the crazy amount of ums, which I deleted something like 80,000 of them.
And likes. I'm bad about likes, and I'm really sorry. Like, I say it a lot.
So, next episode is called Everybody Hates Hugo. So, predictions for that episode.
I mean, Hurley has just won, 82 million?
Something like that. No.
Something like that. And I think it's a well-known thing about people who win the lottery is everybody comes out of the woodwork and you have to say no. And so that would make people hate you. So but also he has the worst luck ever. Maybe it's brought on by himself because he's convinced that he's cursed, and you find what you're looking for, folks.
If you go looking for something, you'll find it.
If you think you're cursed, you finna have some bad luck.
So you think the Everybody Hates Hugo line is from the flashback and not from the island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why would anybody on the island? Well, I mean, Locke's pissed at him.
Why is Locke pissed at him?
Because they had that little tiff. Hurley was Hurley was like, no, and then Locke blew it up anyway, and he was like, why would you do that? But even that, he was just a chill guy about that.
I'll go 23 on that. So let's do, because I feel like this is going to take a minute, so I'm going to find it. The message in a bottle. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to find the post, so just kind of bear with me here for a second. So this is what I mean by you're getting
this is real life right here, and I'm very sorry.
Newest. There we go. Okay.
Maybe one day we'll learn how to edit the video in such a way that it's nice, but we're not there.
Nah, we're not there. So here it is. So from Greg, Dusty, watching now, who are these two other mystery people?
That's not fair. We told you in the beginning that we were not nearly as cool as our avatars.
Yeah, I know. Didn't realize the volume issue affected so many of your podcasts. That breaks my heart that you lost all that content.
Yeah, us too. It was
abundantly evident
12 hours.
How hard you worked on them. In terms of the noise-canceling headphone solution, that's fine for one episode, but I think you'll drive your audience away if you post a bunch of these. Totally agree.
You're right.
So your video solution is clever given the circumstances. Oh, and Morgan, your reading of notes in the previous episodes was never an issue. I don't believe I'd be alone in saying that.
Okay.
Side note, Joe, now that you've completed season 1, you should know I've decided to create a new post for each season. Okay, so this is a note about him making which we will put it in the other post. Okay. Notes are part and parcel of reviews and an important part of the structure of your podcast, so don't worry. They're informative, but also advise a listener, now viewer, of how you perceive the episode. Also, for the record, even though we know you have notes in front of you, it never really sounded like you reading them word for word, so much as using them to tell your recap using what sounded like bullet points.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the queen of paraphrasing. If you could tell me a story, give me 2 minutes, I will completely renovate that story.
More like 10 minutes.
I'll get you the gist.
Yeah.
You get the gist of the story.
The stereotype really holds up of us kind of talking about our days when we come home from work, and something mad could have happened at my work that day, and she'll go, how was work? And I'll go, it was fine, same old. And then I'll be like, how's work for you? And then I'll get to hear about how Cindy was a total moron or whatever. I used a real name there, and I shouldn't have, and she'll never know. But she doesn't listen to your podcast, does she?
No. And I'll make sure she doesn't, because I don't think she's a moron.
No, Cindy's great, honestly. Cindy is the one actually that has watched all the way through Lost and is waiting for Morgan to
I
catch
have
up.
mentioned Cindy multiple times. She's the one that binged through this whole thing.
But the paraphrasing of that story about Cindy and jacking up the refrigerator or whatever at work will be 10 minutes long and full of so many twists and turns. And definitely, if she took notes about it, she wouldn't read the notes. She'd just read the bullet points. So there's some artistry to the storytelling of Morgan recapping something, which is why she's doing the recap. Yeah. It was my idea from the beginning to make sure Morgan did the recap. I thought it would be funnier, not just because she is a better storyteller than I am, but also because she just has a way of making it sound funnier than I would make it sound. So,
thanks.
We're dealing with heavy stuff in some of these episodes, and they're still funny because we talked about Claire maybe raising the Antichrist, and the chief thing from that episode was men ain't shit. So I think it's apropos to say that you tell that story funnier than I would. Josh Coveney agreed. Not once did I think, oh, she's reading notes and this sounds bad. Quite the opposite.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Getting heralded.
Yeah.
Oh, and Greg pointed out so you're kind of doing it now. If you can kind of shift your head a little bit where it looks like you have the mouse ears, there you go. That is not a Disney callback, but we did go to Disney World.
We did. But yeah, there's no hidden Mickeys in this house or in my heart or soul.
Speaking of hidden Disney stuff, have you seen that thing going around where it's like Disneyland and Disney World have their names for a reason? And that's because
I saw something and it was like the LA and the ORL.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Because Los Angeles and Orlando.
Shut up. For some reason, I was thinking like ORNL, like the credit union, and I was like, nah, what the fuck?
Orlando, where Disney World is, LA, where Disneyland is. So it's...
Come on now. Come on.
I am forever old.
They're clever, but my God. Like, are they that clever?
Oh my gosh. I'm just now seeing something that Greg wrote, which I'll show you in a second, but maybe they'll get a Disney sponsorship this way, Josh Coveney says.
I hope not.
Morgan.
I'm scared of the mouse.
That's a rough screen grab.
Yeah.
Oh, Morgan, I was so paranoid, this is from Greg, of looking like I was making fun of you that I spent several minutes trying to grab a screenshot that didn't look like I was doing that.
Unfortunately, with a face like this, you just, there's lots of funny screen grabs you could take.
Please, you're beautiful.
Oh.
But try for yourself and see if you can. Is the nature of single frame screenshots. That when we see ourselves in them, we always think we look terrible, even though in watching the video in full, it always looks fine. I even tried to get one where the two of you were Mickey Mousing, but I couldn't. But I couldn't find a frame. Yep, trademarked it. Smart. But I couldn't find a frame where you're both doing it at the same time. Closest was this, and only because I shopped Joe's on.
Oh my God! Finally, a hat for you.
That's fantastic. Josh,
look how hateful I look.
You do. Josh Coveney, I have no idea how Morgan is holding back from binge watching. I wouldn't be able to do it. Great
you know
job,
what?
as always.
I appreciate the applause on that because it is hard. It is hard.
Listen, she pesters me about it all the time, and she's like, "Let's just watch them. I'll pretend."
Yeah.
No.
But I know, and I said in my comments, I am committed to being authentic at some level in this podcast, and my memory is so bad that I couldn't, if I were to watch 5 episodes, I would have absolutely no fucking clue what to say.
You'd have a general idea.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have the same flavor. It's like using parsley flakes and real parsley. It's different.
So Greg says, Lost started in 2004, but I didn't start binging it till 2009, just before the final season started airing. The only season I watched live with everyone else, and it was torture waiting a week.
Oh, I said that in the first season. I was like, my God. I would, even though we have, pretty much gone a week or so in between episodes, but if I was forced to wait a whole week, I'd be so mad.
I came to it reluctantly because watching 5 seasons of any TV show is a challenge, but it only took the first double episode of the pilot for me to be hooked. Mm-hmm. Then each episode hooked me more and more, and I was legit having sleepless nights because I had to watch the next episode, and no one and no job was going to stop me.
That's how Cindy is.
Yeah.
She was saying, she would come into work looking tired. And
She'd
she
been
was
binging.
like, I was up till 12:30 watching Lost.
It's what I imagine a drug addiction to be, and the show is designed this way, especially with all of its masterclass episode endings, with the season cliffhangers being the strongest, as you've already experienced once. So huge respect that you've been able to so far not binge, and FYI, rewatches are the same. The first especially with aha moment after aha moment. Even though I know in detail what happens next, I find it very difficult to stop and say sleep or eat or head out and actually do something with my life.
Well, I'm so glad that you're along for this ride with us.
And then Kiara Gordon decided to at him immediately and say, "Aren't you in like triple digits now?" That's
You're
really good.
Throwing shade.
I love it. I love it. So, continuing to move along. Man, first of all, fantastic engagement on this one.
Thank you.
Joe, some notes. Filming locations. Almost every frame of Lost is filmed on location in Hawaii. Exception one, the interior plane crash scenes were the very first filmed and were done in LA prior to everyone moving to Hawaii for production. Not a single scene was filmed in Australia, though as with many other scenes, real exteriors were used to help identify the location. Exception two, the only real non-Hawaii set on location was London in a scene, ironically, fans thought was CGI'd, as you can see the Thames and London Bridge in the background. Of course, I can't say much more without spoiling it, but you'll know when you see it much later on. The reason this scene is set and filmed there is because an actor needed for some scenes was doing a play in the West End, so they flew two of Lost's main cast to do the scenes. Aaron, did you notice that he was born the exact moment that Boone died? We did notice that,
and we
covered it.
We did not talk about it, I don't think.
No, we did, but it was in one of the quiet. Yeah.
Lost.
Smoke Monster. Morgan is spot on to recognize that Locke, willing to be dragged by Smokey into a pit, was a sign of his faith being tested.
He was like, let me go. Let me go.
Suggestion. Here's the thing we were getting to a second ago. I love that Morgan was blown away by the season 1 finale. It's one of TV's best. But Joe, you and I know there's a much bigger one coming. Yes, there is. And I cannot wait to get Morgan's reaction. If I can make a suggestion, record it. No need to get a reaction for the entire episode, but just those final few minutes of the huge we have to go. Okay. No.
I already read the comment.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to reconsider it. Now that you smartly watch the video, this can be a really great moment for your audience, seeing the look on Morgan's face as that plays out. It'll take a bit of editing to put into the chat episode, but I think it's worth it to see Morgan's face.
I'm going to do my best to look just like that cat that you posted.
Yep, and Kira seconds that. Oh yes, great idea for the cliffhanger finale video reaction. Do one for the finale too, the last 20-ish minutes. And Josh says Josh Kevaney said, switch to the video is the right way to go. I enjoyed the audio podcast, but seeing this now, it's even better. So well done on that choice. You guys look great. It's really nice actually seeing the interactions between you.
Thank you.
And Matt J. Lewis seconded what he said. It was great watching you guys and seeing the passion on your faces and not just hearing it in your voices. Morgan, when you said that's very Charlie, referring to some of his bad behavior on the show, strap yourself in. Everything Joe read about Dom's real life bad behavior is about to get real interesting.
That makes me so sad.
I mean,
I don't want Charlie to suck. I don't want him to suck. I want him to rise above and be a daddy and stay off drugs and be a good boy.
4.
He's got it in his heart. He's got it in his heart.
4.
He is damaged. He needs to go to therapy.
There are no therapists on the island.
Wild.
Yeah.
Wild to me.
Well, is it?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I can. There's a website called 7 Cups of Tea. And all you have to do is watch a few videos, take a couple tests, and then you're a certified listener. I am a certified listener on 7 Cups of Tea, and it's like a random forum where you go in completely anonymous and you connect with other human beings and you talk about all your problems.
When's the last time you did that?
Oh my God, this was like right after I graduated high school. I was so deeply into it. Now,
it's like I've never heard about this.
Oh yeah, it was a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, it is wild to me that there's nobody on this island with any manner of like mental health awareness. It was the early 2000s. They didn't talk about mental health.
Not like we do now.
No. So,
although, like, the whole conceit of The Sopranos is Tony Soprano going to a therapist.
I've never seen The Sopranos or The Godfather. Yeah. We talked about that last time.
Well, you did.
You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding.
That is The Godfather. Yeah.
Never seen it. You put a horse head in my bed? I don't know. I never seen it.
I've been trying to get her to watch it because it's one of the best movies.
You know
ever
what?
made.
When we finish this, I'll watch The Godfather. When we finish Lost, I will watch The Godfather.
Okay. I'll remember it.
Great.
You won't, since you don't remember anything. So we have to do these quickly, it's within 24 hours, definitely.
Yeah, the episode starts melting out of my ears, away from my brain, 2 hours after I watch it. So you gotta catch it while it's fresh.
So the tough thing about that is that I have to give her bad news multiple times. Because she literally will forget bad news that I've given her, and I got to give it to her again, and it's fresh. But the other side of this, I get to give her good news multiple times too. So it's like, I got a raise, and then a couple of days later, remember I got a raise, and then she's like, you didn't tell me that. So it's great. Anyway,
whatever.
Thank you all for the wonderful engagement on our last episode. As you see, I read all those comments. So
every single one.
Every single one of them.
And we love it. We love it so much.
We do. Oh, I was stalling because I was trying to remember something that I wanted you to say for this. What was it? It was about Greg and wanting to do this right for Greg. You had said it earlier in the kitchen, and I don't remember the context.
I don't either.
But I remember saying...
I was saying that I wanted to do right by Greg.
Yeah.
Because Greg, you've been with us
from the beginning.
A1, day one.
And
it's been great.
Greg is under no obligation to
to
promote this podcast.
No.
And I hate this thing where dudes are calling each other king. I hate it, but king, thank you for doing all that you have done to promote this podcast and for engaging on everything.
Yes.
But the funny thing about that was that I was like, why is she saying this before we start recording? Because it was so funny how it came out.
Yeah, I can't remember the context, but basically I was saying we need to do it. Oh, it was about the videos because Greg said he liked the videos, right?
Yes, yeah.
So I said we need to do it that way because I want to do right by Greg.
Oh, because you were
I want to do it the way Greg likes.
Yeah, but that's because you were talking about because it's after 9 here.
Yeah, I had to go put my nice shirt back on. I was already in my pajamas.
So anyway, we appreciate all that, and so we are trying to do this the right way and in video form. It's been really fun, and so now that we're done, that means that we get to go watch another episode.
Everybody Hates Hugo.
Everybody Hates Hugo.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Well, what's that other one? Everybody Hates Chris.
Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they do, because Chris Rock sucks.
Yeah, Chris Rock does suck.
He does. He's annoying.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you all, and we will see you at another life, brother.